All right, David Busch, tell me why you wear that Be Love sign.
It's a little truth.
Beautiful. And tell me what you call yourself here in Venice.
I'm a homeless community organizer.
Beautiful. And let's hear about the issues of the toilets along the Skid Row area there. I don't know if you refer to it as Skid Row. What do you call it?
Well, around here we call it 3rd Avenue.
3rd Avenue.
And it happens to be the back sidewalk of one of the largest corporations on the planet, Google.
Right.
And there's about 100 or so unhoused folks that have been living there for actually over 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
And it's predating Google by a long time. And Google's actually the new neighbor. And ever since Google moved in, there's been a sudden lack in Venice of any public toilets whatsoever. It was part of the improvements that Councilman Bill Rosendahl brought to Venice when he told Google that he was going to help bring up the status of the neighborhood. And so his idea of doing that was to close down all the public toilets on the boardwalk and to tell people that they could no longer sleep on the Venice boardwalk or on the beach, but they had to move actually right there on 4th Street, which is a block away from Google. And then when the folks on 4th Street started complaining, they ended up moving over even closer to Google, which was on 3rd Street, which has caused no end of consternation for people that don't think that wealthy yuppies should have to bear looking at poor third world conditions.
And let me tell you something, I was blessed to be part of a volunteer group yesterday that harvests vegetables on Sundays from a community garden, cooks them, chops them, and puts together vegan stew and pork stew for the folks on 3rd and Rose there, as well as, you know, beach areas. And every person we met was nice, grateful, cool. We brought coats, jackets. People were just cool. They're just people.
I know about those folks doing that meal. It's a great thing to do. So what happened? Things have just gotten progressively worse. It's been an 8-year battle now just to get some toilets for that 100 or so folks. And most recently, some people in the community got so fed up that they went out and they put up 2 porta potties on their own for several months, and it didn't work out. It doesn't work out. It's a long history in LA. The fact of the matter is unattended porta potties in any part of the city but especially to homeless women, are actually a danger. They become a woman on the street becomes an instant target if she tries to use one of these things. There's enough stalking and physical intimidation and harassment of women on the street. The porta potties become a place where a woman has this dilemma: do I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and risk being attacked, possibly raped, or do I stay asleep? Do I stay here in my sleeping bag or in my tent all night long and end up in a couple of days with a kidney infection?
And let me ask you something else. It's so critical. Again, we are talking about people, and I have a theory that many, if not all, homeless or unhoused people, as I'm learning to say, are angels here to tell us something. And humanity needs to be listening, and we have not been listening, and we have not been mindful neighbors. It does not sound to me like Google is being a mindful neighbor right now to the folks who've been using that block to basically live their lives for decades.
Well, that's the conclusion we're coming to after 8 years of their inaction. And overall, there's been some good things that Google has brought to the community, but the situation for the folks that are right there, their immediate neighbors, is really something that they've just overlooked too long. And so about a month or 2 ago, there were a couple of incidents that had been building with some of their guards, and ironically enough, 2 of them happened on the exact same day that Snapchat issued their initial public offering. And there's a lot of us that have been concerned about these issues for a while. The universe, I don't know, maybe spoke to me that morning and said, it's time to do a fast. So
okay.
I've done fast before. Back when Obama was first elected and the healthcare became a big issue 8 years ago, I did one fast on water only. It ended up lasting for 32 days. And I had never done anything like that before in my life. It shocked me that I could go that far.
Right.
But one of the things that I found was fasting, if you're able to do it, is one of those things can help you get a lot of clarity and focus. And I felt that was needed after 8 years of this struggle.
Okay, and how many days have you now been fasting?
Well, I stopped fasting about 12 days ago, but I started fasting, like I said, on the 28th. We're into April now. And I went until the 21st, which was 20 days on water only. Wow. And I probably could have gone farther, but this time around I was doing a lot of pedaling on this bicycle over here parked behind this newsstand. Right. And I ended up depleting a lot of salts that I wouldn't have otherwise lost, and I ended up facing a choice of, well, I could either fall over and collapse and die for the sake of a pure water only fast, or I would even get a chance to take it to the party who I think is really most in need of bringing their attention. Who needs to get this message? It's really the City Council of LA, and especially the councilman for this area, Mike Bonnet. And beyond Santa Monica, beyond Venice, you want LA to look at this. So Mayor Garcetti needs to look at this issue. Certainly Mayor Garcetti, but I would say first and foremost, primarily, a councilman who's getting a lot of credit for being the most homeless advocating councilman on the council, Mike Bonnet. Okay. And there's a lot of questions about, is there something more he could be doing? And that's one of the questions that's been raised by this fast. The fact is again, when you look at this lack of toilets, it started with his predecessor when Mike was an aide to him, and it's continued now through his first term and now into his second term. And you need action. Even the United Nations, we need some action. Even the United Nations in 2014 declared that the lack of sanitation was the #1 human rights violation of homeless people in this country. Right. It's a third world situation. Right. And right here in a very affluent area, which is really, I think, one of the key things I really pondered yesterday. Here we are feeding basically hundreds of people on just volunteerism, and we're around the corner from multi-million-dollar homes. Again, Mike, this phone's probably going to die, and I want to catch this before it does. What could Google do today, this moment, when this goes live, to actually become a more mindful neighbor of the unhoused population right outside their door? They could get in touch with the Fast for Venice or Liz Boyer at the Venice Family Clinic and say, we heard about the health crisis for the homeless folks on our back doorstep. We understand that they need not just porta potties, but attendants. Right. Now, the cost of that for a year to have a safe porta potty on that street from dusk to dawn is about $60,000 to $80,000 a year. That's one trip or maybe 2 trips of a homeless woman to a clinic to be treated for a kidney infection or a possible beating that she might get if she's robbed by using a toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's beyond comprehension that we would make up an excuse to allow people to endanger their lives for any price over that. And it's just inane that people aren't looking at actually what it's costing taxpayers to pay for the lack of safe public toilets in Venice at night. And so the goal of the campaign is to finally get some action on this. Beautiful. And are you hungry right now? No, I've been doing quite well. It took me about 10 days to recover from the fast. The doctor told me I needed to start having a little more yogurt. Okay. David Busch, I thank you so much for your activism and your heart, and I hope everybody takes your advice and thinks more mindfully and if you want to help out, contact Google and tell him to do the right thing. Do the right thing, and contact Mike Vaughn and tell him he needs to support the permitting for the community to put up a porta potty until he can convince the
Thank you, David.